Okay, good. Can everybody hear me okay? Brilliant. Well, firstly, thank you very much for coming to what is actually going to be, or what is a really exciting time for Eden Smith and our business. My name's Jez Clark. I'm one of the co-founders of the business. My business partner and the co-founder is sat right there. Your hand up, Matt. That's Matt Smith. And just as a quick introduction, so I'm one of the co-founders. To my right is Ross Simpson, who is the lead consultant for our Nurture Academy. Nick Devaney, who heads up our Connect service and our partner ecosystem network. Lucy Lynch, who is the head of our Nurture program. And Selena Simpson, who is head of our academy for Nurture. So what I'm going to do, just to take 5 or 10 minutes, just to tell you a little bit about our story, what Eden Smith is about, where it started, and what we're here to do. So basically, in June 2013, I met Matt. We have got backgrounds of 20 years in staffing across the technology industry across Europe. And we met at a business which was European focused. We got on well. Our management styles are very similar, and we shared our way of working and our ethics and our beliefs of what we wanted to do in recruitment, which was actually quite outside of what you would feel as the norm if you're a customer at the back end of the recruitment industry, which can be quite tough. We both left that existing business and we went to work with other companies, but we stayed in touch because we liked each other. And then Matt, in October 2015, approached me with some private investment and asked if we would like to set up together a staffing business. And at the time we was working for the companies and we were giving them advice on what markets to go into. And from the research that I'd done as a previous business development director, and what Matt was doing, managing some big teams in the UK for staffing, was that data was the future. So we looked at cloud and security, but data was the route, and that was the business and the market that we were going to set up in. So in February 2016, we incorporated Eden Smith as basically a staffing business, and we shook hands on that outside the Lamb Pub in Leadenhall Market in London in October. Yeah, that was us. It was a good evening. But we didn't look back. So basically, we'd chosen the market to be data, and we were going to start to build talent pools of people in data architecture, governance, science analytics, and engineering. And that's what we were going to go to market with, across all levels and across all industries. And we call that product today Engage. So that's our staffing and recruitment arm. Now, I don't know if you're aware, but that trying to find a unique selling point in the recruitment industry is very difficult. As one thing, but in the first 3 months of us trading, we actually found it very difficult to get traction in data. Typically because the data industry is business-led and not technology-led, and we were trying to build the talent pools in those ways. So we dropped the suits and we got out to the meetups and we started to get involved and immerse ourselves in the data market. And what followed on from that was basically being educated by the businesses out there. Our customers were asking us if we could provide further help with consulting and projects, and did we know anybody that did visualization or advisory or consultancy or anything like that in data? And we actually said yes we do, because we've built a partner network, and this is what we today call it Connect, and that's what Nick heads up, which is an ecosystem of data and analytics businesses, which we introduce to our customer layer when we're talking to them about staffing and recruitment. So now we're in a position that we can basically sell consulting and projects, which is great. We introduce the customers to the partners then sell their products to the customers. To implement those products into the customers, they need to find people, so of course they come straight back to us. And what that does is gives us a much bigger network than anyone else out there for data people. And of course the knowledge, because we ask our partners if they would kindly educate our consultants at work selling our services in their products as well. So, it's quite a good model. The next thing that happened was that Matt and I we're getting a lot of questions around data science, and this is where Nurture comes in, and this is what we'll be talking about today. The demand for data science is big, and Ross Simpson's going to talk to you about what that actually means as a customer at a very senior level, as a chief data officer. We didn't know how to find these people. There aren't many of them, so we thought what we would do is we start at the education academic end. Let's go out to the market and identify all of the universities that are running MSc data science programs to see if we could try and help get those students some live work experience in our customer base. And hopefully, with the back end of that, the customers will get some added value from what we were doing, and the universities will therefore introduce their students to industry. So we started with Nurture. Now Nurture is the graduate data science program that Lucy's going to talk about. The good thing about Nurture is that we talk to our customers about our other two products. We talk to them about Nurture as well, and then we talk to them about other parts of our business. And naturally, we start to talk about recruitment in other areas as well as data science, which is great. The only challenge with that was that the customers who were about to receive some of the students as part of their dissertations and do some work on projects, they didn't have the platforms to help them work, to give them the data science platform to help them work on whilst they're in the customer or on site, etc. So what we did then was we went back to our partners and said, would you help us out with that and help some of our students as part of the program when they're working on site with our customers use some of your technology? And they said yes. And that was the beauty. The beauty of that was obviously the students are then going into our customers, they're using the latest technology, universities get feedback about the latest technology, and kind of everybody's the winner. So that's our model at the moment. It's kind of an ecosystem of people that are in data, and that's what Eden Smith does. Solutions and people. And the Nurture program is what we see as being the future of helping build that talent pool. I'm going to hand over to Ross now to talk to you about the actual live demand for data science in the industry. Okay? Thank you.
Hey, I'm going to go off script for a second. Just want to get to know the audience a bit. How many people are educated in the room to degree level? Wow. I don't see that in many industries. How many of you have left full-time education in the last 5 years? Smaller number. And if you think about whether we're talking about big data, data science, it's a young industry. I've been working in it for the last 20 years, so that kind of gives you an idea of my age, I'm afraid. But whether it's working for clients, so I've had roles with, for example, running loyalty schemes, how I got into data, likes of Dunnes Stores and Ireland, Toys R Us, Homebase. Then worked in the coupon industry, Catalina. Then head of Insight and Analytics for Birmingham City Council, where we set up for the first time understanding an Insight and Analytics team. Was head of TV licensing, so collecting 3.7 billion quid a year, team around that. British Gas transformation, Npower, Severn Trent Water, Ordnance Survey, and for my sins now I'm doing the GDPR program in Sainsbury's. So Jez asked me to come along today, and one thing, these guys placed me in Sainsbury's, so thank you. I guess I'm representing the client side, and I'm an evangelist for the Nurture program. Also work with the IDM and DMA, part of their Customer Data Council, where we're trying to get people from as undergraduates into the business and understand what data is. So we're running a number of 3-day programs for students and a number of 1-day programs across the UK, getting mentors to come in from industry. So if anybody wants to speak to students, contact us, contact me, and I'll make sure you've got a speaking opportunity to talk to graduates who we're going to have about 2,000 graduates for about 90 places who really are interested in getting into the data industry. So that's my bit on that. Come back to why I'm here today. I guess whether it's for companies I worked for or whether it's I'm advising, the one thing that they're always looking for is knowledgeable people. And I was chairing a CDO panel yesterday, and one of the questions that I asked the room was, how many people find it easy to find knowledgeable staff when they're searching? So who finds it easy to find great staff when they're recruiting? A show of hands. Come on, there must be somebody that finds it easy. Okay, not one hand goes up. That's just interesting. And that's kind of where I find. So for example, I've just written all of the job descriptions for Ordnance Survey for their CDOs function. And we had, I think, for one of the roles, 15 CVs come in, and of those, only one made it through to interview. And unfortunately, that person didn't make the level. So we're now having to go back out to market to try and find those people. These are salaries at between 80 and 100,000 pounds, and we can't find people. So there's a need, I think, and believe that we've got to nurture from the ground up rather than going to Dyson's, for example. Ryan was saying yesterday, the place where he recruits his data scientists from now is Malaysia, not homegrown. So that's some of the problems that we're trying to address as part of this program. Coming back to the business, you need knowledgeable people. Understanding business need. One of the things I find that's sometimes difficult with data scientists, who's a data scientist? Who would say that that's their job title? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So, one of the challenges sometimes with some of your colleagues in industry when we talk to them and bring them in is they don't understand the business requirement. So, and actually the time it takes to then put stuff together and then present it back in a format that's easy to use. We've got to coach that over time. And it's that translation of requirements from business need to then through to, here's the analytics that I'm going to do. And let's face it, insight should be about the new R&D for a business. That's why we exist, is to find stuff within data that people don't know and find patterns and trends and prove and disprove hypotheses. And your guys' jobs, I guess, is to provide insightful analytics. Tell me stuff that I didn't know that's actionable, that I can then go and do stuff with, and ideally make some more money from and beat my competitors. And it's then that feedback to the business. There's a number of times where I've had analysts come to me and say, I want to take this to the directors, but they're just not quite confident enough to go and present it. And one of the things I do is I coach them in presentation skills, in visualization techniques, on how to make an impactful message from a massive data, from big data, down to what are the key nuggets that we're actually trying to get the business to understand. Because as we were describing yesterday, a lot of our directors across businesses really don't get and understand data. They value assets, financial assets, but they forget about data as the core asset that runs the entire business, is information. And our job is to convert, data to information to wisdom. And that's what we've got to try and find and create an ecosystem that allows us to do that and to nurture it. I guess therefore, Jez has talked about the connect and engage. That's true of business. We've got to connect with our colleagues across businesses, understand what they need, engage them, and we've got to nurture our stuff, because otherwise what happens is, at BBC TV licensing, we couldn't pay as much as the market did. So we would train them, our graduates, for 2 or 3 years, and then they'd either go to Amy or Dunhumby for salaries about 30 grand more than we could pay. That's market conditions. And yeah, let's face it, if you put the word data scientist at the end of your job description these days, it gets you about 10 or 15 grand extra. So if you're not doing it, make sure you do. Okay, I'm going to hand over now.
I hope you can all hear me. I've got a bit of a throat after a couple of days of talking. So what Ross has said, and where we're working with the CDO networks and the businesses across Europe and even on a global scale, is not uncommon. We've spoken to many people across the business who actually go around and they're looking for really kind of specific technologies. Businesses are always out trying to hire the latest technologies, people with the latest industry knowledge. And they go out and they find these really kind of niche technology skills that they want to find in the market, where the market very really is lacking those skills or commercial experience in these kind of areas. The second thing they look at is they want both academia and experience. So we want someone with a PhD level, but they have to have 4 years experience in data science. Right, brilliant. The industry's been around, but the terminology hasn't been around that long. So you're actually looking for someone who's come out with a PhD in data science and then done 4 years. You're not going to find what you're looking for. So the skills kind of need and what people are putting out in the market is actually very different for what we're actually seeing, and that's one of the reasons why we see a skills shortage. And then they're like Ross said, they look for people that are business savvy. We want the data scientist that's going to be able to come along and talk to the business about what they want to achieve, going to be able to understand the business requirements, go away and do some coding. And most of the data scientists want to sit there and just do some coding and work with some interesting data. Half of them don't want to work with the business. They want to do the interesting data side. There are some out there that do want to do that, and they do have them kind of challenges and want to kind of progress in that way. But the nature of some of the skills that we look for in the market tends to pushing us into this kind of over-round and really diverse kind of group of thing. And then, of course, every business at the moment wants to create diversity. They want more women in data. They want more diversity in their team. They want to be able to kind of, in a limited pool, create more diverse skills. And if that's not available in the market, you're never going to be able to reach those goals and push those things forward. I think you will be quite familiar with the term unicorn, or I think the best one I've heard so far is a purple squirrel. I've heard it bound around a few times. And when I speak to businesses, and I've joined Jez and Matt, so just to give you a bit of background, I've been in the technical recruitment market for about 7 years. Focused across multiple disciplines across Europe, but focusing on niche talent pools and how global businesses can change their strategy and change their way to hire to be able to find niche skills, or at least create those skills either externally or internally within their business. And this is not common in just data science. We've seen this 20 years ago in SAP. We've seen this in other technology markets as well, when the 4G boom came around, looking for people that understood 4G technologies, 5G technologies as we move forward. So it's not new to the market. It's all about strategy, and it's all about how we push this forward and how we grow the talent that we need. But rather than these mythical, non-existent kind of creatures, it always reminded me of a childhood character, this guy. My friend Wally from when I was in school. For our European friends, I think he's known as Waldle. For those that don't know, the concept is, here's a guy that has very distinct characteristics. He wears a stripy jumper, he wears glasses, he carries a walking stick, and often wears a red and white stripy hat in very hot conditions like the beach. And the concept is you go through this book and you have to spot him in really kind of different scenarios. And you'd think, looking at him, he stands out, right? Just like we look for when we're looking for data scientists. We've got a set of really unique characteristics, unique skills of what we want this person to look like. They should be easy to find. And you turn the page and what you head up with is something like this. So for all the market, or all you guys there, I know you're scanning the screen now to try and find him. So if you do find him, please raise your hand. And this is just what happens in our market in the data world. This is just what's happening with data scientists at the moment. Everyone's trying to find that one person, that Wally, that's in the marketplace and hidden, and all your competitors are trying to find them at the same time. And I'm guessing no one's actually found him yet? Yeah? I think, there we go. You're trying to beat your competitors to finding this one individual talent with these very niche skills. So for those that haven't found him, he's up there. The screen's a little bit bright. But what we turn around and say is say, well, the way that Ian Smith and the way the strategies that I look at when we're working with businesses is stop looking for Wally. There's all these other people in the picture that actually might be wearing the same jumper, might have the jumper but not the hat, might have the jumper and the hat but in a different colour. They actually just might be wearing something very similar, but they're the people that have an interest in data. Let's find the people that have got a passion in data, that have an interest in it and have the technical mindset to actually then teach them the skills they need. That could be the business savvy person that finds it interesting. That could be the technical person that wants to learn more about the business. But let's start to try and kind of help educate and get other people in the business across. So what do we help with? So I'm going to take us through the walls here. So start to look at who in your business has transferable skills. We're doing a lot of work with the CILIP, who are the information professionals and librarians. And they have a lot of people in their business that work in libraries, work in archiving. And these guys are dealing with data every single day. They're cataloguing data, and yet the skills they have are similar to what we'd want to someone to fill in metadata, to look at what's important in our data, how do we govern our data. They've been doing it for years, so let's find transferable skills across the market. Secondly, let's focus on learning and development. That doesn't have to be external, that could be internal, that could be providing internal training yourself, that could be cultural workshops, that could be bringing in expertise from external into the business to help find those people and help upskill your current workforce. Or it could be looking at external, I said, the academia programs of how do we bridge the gap between what we have and the technical knowledge into the business world. And then lastly, it's about being agile and adaptable in our hiring process. When I stepped into Eden Smith, I was focusing on data science recruitment, and I met a lot of data scientists, and they are, no offense to those that put their hand up in the room, but there's a very broad range of people with a very broad range of skills, and some of them talk differently, they communicate differently. And yet if you're trying to follow your normal HR processes in the way with very technical people that think and work in a different way, sometimes you're going to miss out on that talent, not because of them, but actually because of your internal processes. We ran a CDO event just last week, actually, a prize list with Peter Jackson and Caroline, who launched a CDO playbook. and there was a HR professional in the room, and he said, how do we allow our businesses to hire the right people when we're looking for such different and diverse talent? And it's about having agile and adaptable hiring processes. And these are the kind of three main things that we built our nurture program around. So our nurture program focuses on these as a thing. So with businesses that we're doing the nurture program with, which Lucy will tell you a little bit more about how it works, it's an alternative hiring method. Bring in graduates, give them the skills, train them up, and hire from there. It's changing your process, changing the way we think. So we partnered with the Data Science Foundation. Data Science Foundation is an online professional community and body for data science. They focus around just data science and analytics professionals, those that want to learn, those that want to come into the industry, those that are already in the industry. And they provide a platform to be able to provide white papers, to put out blogs, to find information, to see what courses are available, to see what universities are doing data science. And actually they promote self-learning. We're a very open source and very kind of collaborative industry in the data world. So they want to promote that as well. So they offer like peer reviews, online discussions and support. So that actually some of these junior data scientists or even senior data scientists can put their ideas out there, put their thoughts out there and say, hey guys, what do you think about this? Let me learn. Let us grow. I want to get involved in data. Let me go through and read and get support from the community and from the people that are in the industry already. So we work with them, and they are actually going to be leading be the portal and the platform online to be able to allow us to nationalise and basically take our data science program and scale it up to Scout. So this year we piloted it with 20 students without the platform. We've already signed up 200 students that want to be involved, that are doing master data science programs. So I'm going to hand you over to Lucy, who's going to talk a bit more about actually how the program works, what the processes are, and how the steps go from there. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick. I hope that you can see why we are really, really excited here at Eden Smith to launch the Nurture programme with the Data Science Foundation. And I wanted to give you an overview today of how the Nurture programme works. But first, if there was anything I'd like you to take home today is 3 key messages. So this programme enables students to work with global brands on live data. Businesses get an opportunity to give back to support the next generation of data talent. And universities, well, they get access to the latest data technologies and products from our partner network and support the student on their MSc course. So how does it work? Well, we start onboarding universities from August that have an MSc in data science. These can range from really heavy technical courses in machine learning and AI to programs that focus on the processes and analysis. Once onboarded, the university gets access to the DSF website and the Nurture portal, so where they can upload their course information and the students can start to build their profiles. They get access to the wider data community and start to get business ready through the Nurture Academy. Meanwhile, we work with organisations from small startups, NGOs, fintechs to large corporations, guiding them on how to gain value from our programme with relevant data science projects that demonstrate the art of possibility in their business. By February, all of the customer projects are in. They're analysed, they're monitored, and they're matched. When I explain this part of the business to my customers, I often refer to myself as like a human Tinder for data science. When the students are successfully selected, the projects kick off from June and run until September. Depending on the project, they could be on-site, the students could work remotely, or it could be a mixture of both. Once the projects are completed, we organise showcases internally and externally that demonstrates the skills of the students, that they've learnt, and how it's been agreed under each company's policy and NDAs. On this point, this is just an overview today of what I'm saying. And as Jez has mentioned, Eden Smith is an adaptable business, and our Nurture programme is no different. We have already worked with companies on ad hoc projects we're not even running with the Nurture programme yet. We do early intakes, and via the DSF website, we work with independent students who are wishing to participate. So our journey of Nurture began with a single thought of how we were going to collaborate with the data world. And when I first started talking to the students at Salford University, I realised that almost half of them were women. And then I realised very quickly what an incredible position that we're in today to start our journey. And we want to champion all of our discerning students. One of my favourite writers, Anise Nin, wrote that life shrinks and expands in proportion to one's courage. Eden Smith are pioneering this initiative with courage. The students have courage to invest not only financially, academically, emotionally, but statistically, they're in need of our help. We need to lend a hand. We need to coach them. We need to develop them. We need to identify their challenges. We need to inspire them to move them forward. And this is where the Nurture Academy comes into play. And here I'll hand over to Selena.
Thank you very much, Lucy. At the Nurture Academy, we're really proud to be supporting the Nurture programme. Thinking about what business requires today of our students, the expectation is to be business ready, to be able to hit the ground running. But really, is that realistic? Students spend over 15 years in education getting the technical skills that they need to be able to develop as data scientists. The CBI report recently said that, students need this guidance. They're going into jobs now where their parents, when they left school, just didn't exist. We've got some fantastic graduates with some brilliant technical skills. But the message from industry is very much around needing that diversity of skills, and particularly, and I find this quite interesting, soft skills, because the soft skills have got to be the hardest to learn. If you Google what skills are required as a data scientist, it actually comes back with over 53 million. And the top ones tend to be around communication, team working, and planning. As Jez has said, the ecosystem that we provide, we work tirelessly with the businesses and students alike. We don't just abandon them on projects at all for their MSc. We provide them with the ability to create the CVs because we work with clients. We know what the clients are looking for. We know the formats. We help them with interview techniques. That's really important because obviously as a new person, student coming out into the world of work, they need to be able to present themselves in a way and sell themselves in a way that the business finds attractive. In addition to this, what we also provide along this journey that Lucy explained is a whole suite of seminars and workshops for our students to become business ready. And some of these, as you'll see, include communication skills. And I think somebody's touched on it a couple of times actually from Eden Smith. Communication skills is the key to delivering the insight and analytics. Sometimes you're not necessarily communicating the insight and answering that question, but actually you're trying to identify what the right question is. So with our programs that we provide, we've worked tirelessly with businesses and students to understand what skills they really need to succeed in their chosen careers. How many of you are aware of the Women in Data that's coming up after this? Okay, fantastic. So as we've talked about diversity of skills and developing our students, McKinsey did a report around diversity, and what they found was though companies high in sort of the upper quartile for gender, racial and ethnic diversity outperform their competitors, and you're like this, it's 35% above the mean. So on that note, I thought I'd put together a slide to test your knowledge about women in data. Does anybody know who that is? Oh, somebody does. Sorry? I can't hear. Have we got yeah, it's Ada Lovelace. Yeah, Ada Lovelace. So she was working under the mentorship of Charles Babbage, and she was actually one of the first women in industry to, forgive me, sort of first computer programmer essentially, and that was back in the 1800s. Yeah, loads. I'd be surprised if nobody knows this. Florence Nightingale wasn't just a nurse. Essentially, she was a fantastic mathematician, and she actually developed the first, what they call, polar diagram, which is subsequently now known as the Nightingale rose, which is a form of histogram. So she used her mathematical skills and abilities and not only wrote reports, but she did some statistical analysis within the Indian rural community, which led on to better hygiene, better public health. And finally, does anybody know who that is? Oh, somebody over here. Yeah, it's Grace Hopper. Yeah, Grace Hopper was a rear admiral in the Navy, and she was the creator of COBOL language, which you're probably all familiar with because it's now all being switched to new computer language. But yeah, she essentially created the COBOL language. So we've got women in data here dating back right to the 1800s, which is pretty phenomenal. And I'm really impressed that actually people know who these ladies are. So, as we've mentioned with Eden Smith, we're all about nurturing the talent, helping them get their first foot into the business world, helping them work on live data sets, but also really nurturing those skills that are required from business so that we can provide students into business that are business ready. And now I'm going to hand over to what? What do you mean? Yeah, I'm going to hand over to Jess now to finish up. Apologies.
Thank you, Celine. Great team, really passionate about this programme for this year, but I just actually wanted to go into a little bit more detail about where it started and what we've actually done so far and what we have visibility on and what we're going to deliver for next year as a collective. So the whole programme started when we were trying to identify the universities that were offering the MSc programmes in data science, and the first university that Matt and I started to collaborate with and we went to meet with was Salford in Manchester, and the cohort was about 15 to 18, and it was right at the last minute where they really needed to identify what projects they'd like to be working on, which formed part of their dissertation. I think it's 60 credits as part of the total dissertation, and we had to get out to our customer base very fast and ask them would they be willing to participate in the programme and offer the students of Salford a live data set to work on so they could get cracking. And it was this year that we actually deployed 15 or so of Salford's, or all of the Salford data scientists or MSc postgrads into 4 or 5 of our customers. And some of those customers include the likes of Universal Music Group, Camden Council, which is a leading body for data at the moment, cross-channel marketing, and we had a big investment bank, Mizuho Bank. And those students now, they completed the projects, the customers are very happy, they've got feedback, which is on the data science platform, which I'll talk to you about in a second. And it worked really well. Now that was all done literally on Excel spreadsheets, and Matt and I running around across the country trying to make it happen. But it did happen, and that was the pilot happened this year. But just to put this into some context, and literally within 5 or 6 months, and thanks to the help of Lucy, who's done an amazing job, we now have 8 universities on. We've got UCL, King's, Westminster, Greenwich, Bradford, Salford still, Sussex, all written and agreed to participate in the programme with a total cohort of about 250 students for this year. And Lucy again has got possibly, I think, 40 blue chip customers ready to go who are starting to put their projects together. Now, I don't know about you, but can you imagine what it's going to be like in 2019? So that's why we needed to build a platform, because we think that we could be deploying 1,000 students to get this experience. And it's also the reason that we teamed up with Ross and Selena, because they're running the academy which gets students business ready with the topics and the subjects that the universities don't concentrate on. And that's what makes it so powerful. So it's happening, it's live. I want you to tell everybody about it. We're very proud of it, very passionate. And we'll go to Q&A. Ross is going to moderate.
Right, so we've got a bit of time. There's going to be a mic going round. It's your time to ask any question you want, whether it's about the Nurture Programme, Eden Smith, or, you know, how do I get a better job, whatever you want to discuss, the floor's yours. Yes.
Hello. Really great initiative. Just wanted to ask around any agreements which might have been made with companies once this programme's complete, in terms of further employment once they've actually graduated.
Okay, good question. Who wants to take that, Jess?
Yeah, so...
Can we have the mics on?
All good? All good? Hear me? So basically, when anybody participates in the programme, they agree to a set terms of business. Now, what we wanted to do was to give back to the industry. We're doing that free. So the upfront investment of actually making the Nurture Programme work, there's no cost to students, universities, or the businesses. Up until the point where, if you think about what's going on, the students work on a customer site for a period of 3 months, working on the project, and that is like a 3-month interview. Because at the end of that period, and once students have passed their MSCs, then of course the customer has priority to offer them a job. And at that point we monetize by offering a discounted service to what would normally be our recruitment service, because that's actually what's happening. We're making a placement, we're placing a student into a business. If they don't, if the employer doesn't want to hire, or if the student decides to take a job elsewhere, then fine, that's great, there's no cost to anybody. But that's how the program works and monetizing itself. As I'm sure you can imagine, I showed you the ecosystem earlier. You know, if we talk to businesses about Nurture, they also want to talk about recruitment services per se for architecture, engineering, governance and analytics. You know, so we're able to keep the program going at the moment from the other services and products that we provide, and everybody working hard and giving their own time and investment. But that's how it's commercialized. Only when people get placed, and it's only the customers that will ever pay anything to do that. Does that make that, is that clear? Okay. Thank you.
Any others? There's one there and then there's one there.
Hi. Is this working?
Yep.
So I graduated in 2006, and it seemed to me at the time that giving feedback to people when they apply for a job had been abolished at some point. And it struck me that you're dealing with a group of quite privileged people, because you're grabbing people from university and taking them on a journey. So obviously there's, at each point, fewer and fewer places. But the simplest thing to help people get a better job and move on in their careers and things like that, if they can't get access to programs, is simply to tell them why they didn't make it, what they could improve. And this doesn't happen anymore. So do you think that as part of like Nurture and using your position at Eden Smith, working with loads of different partners, is it trying to get people to find the time to actually feedback what you could have done differently, and to learn lessons could actually help do a lot for loads of people who don't make it to the sort of university graduate
So
program?
let me answer that to start with, and then I'll hand it to the panel. Yeah, you know, it's one thing of the things, if anybody who's, and some of the people in the team here have worked with me, I try and make that time to do that, to make and send an email back and say, you did this really, really well, but you didn't quite make it on these elements, and therefore I would suggest doing this. Now, I think that's a great point, and one of the things I'll take that back to is a number of the forums that I'm on and the companies that we work with, to try and see, can we get HR to provide that feedback, or actually take the responsibility of the interviewing manager to do it as well? Because I would agree with you, I said there about Ordnance Survey that, the 15 CVs that we had and we only took 2. I don't think, and shame on me, the 13 that we said no to, that we then went back and said why. So, yeah, it's a good reminder.
I mean, it's also the application stage where you apply for it, you send in your application and it just says, if you don't hear from us within 2 weeks, goodbye.
Yeah.
And I think
it's
that's
very impersonal, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very impersonal, but also like it feels a bit strange, because you think that you would treat people who apply to work for a business, you would think you would treat them well because they're potential customers. They care about the business enough to want to work for them.
Yeah.
And so even just a little thing of, I mean, a lot of it will probably be you didn't, we had an algorithm and it sifted through and you're not there.
Yeah.
But even just like, some of them that actually do get read by a human sort of a thing.
Yeah.
you made the second stage, and we're now interested.
I was just going to say, so one of the reasons that I came to Eden Smith, knowing Jez and Matt from before, is that in the recruitment industry, in the staffing industry, there is, I mean, we work with a lot of great companies, but there is a kind of some bad tarnish or bad reputation across the market for that reason. And when Eden Smith set up, Jez and Matt really were kind of passionate about delivering something that's different, delivering something that's not transactional, delivering something that is actually here to help. And that's what attracted me. Yes, not everyone always has the time to give feedback to everyone, and sometimes it's not you don't get it from the customer. But it's about that interaction between you as an individual, the people you're representing, and the businesses. And particularly in this market, when you're looking at such, I mean, for data scientists, the growth of a data scientist at the moment from junior to senior is about 2 years, lead maybe 3 or 4. So the people that we're talking to today and are here in this event today, next year they're going to have a year's experience. By the second year, they're going to be in senior positions, they're going to be in influencing decisions and potentially looking at hiring a team in the next kind of 12 months. For us, it's about that long-term partnership, it's about that long-term feedback loop, and actually respecting the individuals that we talk to today, because there aren't many people out there. If we make a bad name of 1 or 2 of them, then that's going to tarnish the reputation across, because it's about the collaborative community, and I think that's one of the things that's interesting about data. It is this open collaborative industry, and that's how we want to make our business as well. So I hope you can kind of see that we're very personable, we're very passionate, and actually our business is built in the same way. We're very flexible, we're very open. It's not KPI driven. It's about actually our end results, about our outcomes, and actually about the market and the kind of the help that we're providing in the market. And that's one of the reasons why the Nurture program is free. There will be customers we work with where the students don't want to work there, or the customers don't have a need to hire, and they actually just wanted to help and give back. It doesn't matter if we don't make money from that. Actually, it's about helping and nurturing and developing the talent, because we believe this industry is the industry of tomorrow and the industry of today, and actually it's what can be the, I suppose, the saviour for the UK Brexit if all the financial services leave. Actually, we've got a really strong data community, and we can lead Europe in data.
Jez, I think you had something, and then we'll go to the question there.
I'm always, is this my, yeah, I'm always quite passionate about your comment about feedback and things like that. There's in so Matt and I, as I said, we've been in the industry for 23 years, and the biggest complaint from people who I term job seekers is that they never get feedback from either a business that they've applied to work at or a recruitment agency that they sent a CV to, right? And I'm just going to just tell you how it is right now. So in a recruitment business, there is a term, a client and a candidate. And a client is typically a business that is buying candidates from you if you're in a recruitment company. And that client, potentially that company, gets a lot of attention and expenses and all this sort of stuff from recruitment consultants, because ultimately they're transacting in business. Now, if the hiring manager, let's call him Bob, on Friday, who you've been working with for a year and taking out for meals because you're making placements with that person and all this sort of stuff, and you're entertaining, all of a sudden is job seeking on Monday because he's been made redundant on Friday, somehow seems to get different treatment. And fundamentally that's not right. So, Matt and I actually agreed when we first started working together, why is it that the two, even though it's the same individual, gets treated very differently at one side of the fence and then doesn't get any feedback or anything like that when they're job seeking. So ultimately what we've done within our business is, it's a cultural thing, what Nick was talking about, is to change terminology. So everybody that we speak with and we work with are our contacts, they're our networks. And you're either in a hiring capacity or you're job seeking. You're not a client or a candidate. And I think that's something that everybody needs to start thinking about, because in data, like Nick has just said, the kind of route to being in a lead position is very, very quick. And if you're not careful, and this could be any other staffing businesses that you might talk to, if we're just talking about the staffing element, if they're not aware of that, then they're going to find themselves in a little bit of a hole, because everybody needs to be looked after, because the cycle is happening much faster in data. I just wanted to put that out there because I'm very passionate about that actual point. I hope it answers your question a bit, but that's why.
Okay, thank you. I think there's a question in the middle here.
Hi there. Great initiative you've got.
Who are you? Where are you from?
My name is Yusuf. I'm currently not doing anything. Ex-VC.
Can we help you?
Possibly. So great initiative you've got going on. I just wanted to ask about the supply and demand of data specialists going further, perhaps into 2025, and what your views are. And also, what is the evolving position of a data scientist within an organization? Do you see them rising through the ranks to the boardroom? How do you view that? Thank you.
Okay. Start that and then I'll hand it. So McKinsey did a recent survey, interestingly, on data. I'm sure a lot of people have seen it. There's 180,000 people within the data industry where there is not enough supply of those individuals. So people are going to have to come from other industries. We're going to have to train them up into it. I think what's interesting around data science is that I've been speaking to a lot of other CDOs, and Ryan is discussing his business plan next year to expand his team. Started off with nothing at Dyson, 30, and is now looking to expand that further now. But I think, again, it's what is a data scientist? What's a data individual? You go from BI, you go from data architecture to end engineering to demand to AI to machine learning. You know, there's so many different facets and types of demand that's going on at the moment. I know EDF, for example, Martin set up his data lab where he's got specific data scientists, and he's doubled that size of that team in the last 2 years. So I think the data scientist is on the ascendancy. I guess it's a question of what is it, would be my view. Panel?
I'd say hello. Oh, there we go. For me, if you're looking specifically at data science, we'll see a model similar to the US. So we'll start to specialize and get micro-specialism within data science. So you'll end up seeing like NLP engineers, you end up seeing AI engineers, deep learning engineers. I think that there will be a space in the market actually for, like you said, that growth and working at board level. There already is a great network of CDOs that are dealing with the board, working with the board and focusing on data. It comes back to the point that it's not always technical. Actually, these are business problems. Let's take a look at what business problems we have or what business solutions we might want to come up with, and how do we approach them using data and information. And the minute you start to look at it from outside the technical point of view, that actually you open up a space of essentially business analysts or business data analysts who can translate requirements, who can talk to the individuals across the business and understand how we can use data, how we can use data-driven decision making to actually progress our business. So I think that will be the kind of next step in 2020 to 2025, is actually this profession of people who understand data solutions, but from business solving. I also think we'll also start to see more domain specialism. So because of the skill shortage in the market, a lot of industries will not be able to hire the kind of people within their industry, and actually we're gaining a lot of value by hiring outside of our domain. We're actually kind of getting other ideas, other domain ideas, other concepts of the way people work, because there's not a way to work in our domain at the moment. So I think we'll start to see that settle down, and I think you'll start to see these kind of fresh ideas come from other domains to then be domain specialists. So they're the kind of two routes that I think we'll see the market transform to.
Just a question for the audience then. Come back to you in a minute, there's one more thing for there first. Show of hands, how many companies had a CDO 2 years ago in the room? How many got CDO now? Okay, so you've gone from none to 2% of your audience. Has anybody not heard of GDPR? Okay. So we've got 10 minutes left, thank you. GDPR, I think, is a great thing. We've met with Elizabeth Denman a number of times now at the ICO, and it's about making sure, it's put a scare into the boardroom a little bit around saying, oh, you can be fined 4% of your global turnover. But it's actually about doing the right data governance, it's about getting the right people, and it's about doing the right thing for your customers and keeping data safe. I've worked with a number of companies now, and in the last 2 assignments that I've had, as a consequence of going in, they've appointed both CDOs and DPOs. So the answer to the question is, is there a route to the board? Absolutely yes. Peter Jackson, who's just done his book, for example, started reporting into the strategy director, then into the marketing director, then into the finance director. Nobody knew where he should report, so they said, finally, right, report direct. So there is going to be a demand going forward, I think, not just for May, but for the next 2 years, of people getting their data right and putting it at the heart of their business. Question at the back?
Hi there, Harry Wilkes, Relex Group. I'm in the hiring category, unless something's changed in the last couple of days while I've been here. It's a great initiative, but you mentioned the importance of soft skills. very early on in the presentation and how much of an emphasis that needs to be put on that. Can you evidence that the universities you're working with and the master's programs and the syllabuses that they teach are changing and they're putting more emphasis on that soft skills? Because in my recent recruiting experience, I would say I'm still not seeing any evidence that that's the case.
I'm going to pass that to the experts. So who wants to pick that one up? Selena?
It's very hit and miss, to be honest. Some universities are starting to pick up on it, but certainly not to the level that is required in business. This is where I think Eden Smith can really kind of lobby universities and influence universities in their curriculum to build those soft skills, if you will. But no, then it's not a focus for them. Whilst things are slightly changing, it's just too hit and miss. And to be honest, we can't expect the universities to be all things to our students. We have to be able to support them and their growth and their development. The universities are great at providing technical skills, research. Let us do what we know is the right thing for business. Let us work with the businesses. Let us craft the workshops, develop the mentoring and the coaching that we know the students need, and that's because we're working closely with businesses.
And I think the other thing I would... Yeah, Lucy?
I'd just like to...
Yep,
Okay, I'd just like to add that I work very closely with Greenwich University, and I have an honoured position of sitting on their employee forum. And so I go and will regularly go and sit with them and different businesses, and what they're asking us is to engage with them, with the actual university, to say what skills are needed out there, how can we develop our program, what can we provide. So in answer to your question, some universities that I'm working with are listening and getting on board, and what I'm trying to do is get very, very close to these institutions and help guide what we can offer and how we can help the students get more market ready a lot quicker. So I hope there is going to be a change. I just started this job in September, so give me another 6 months and hopefully I'll have more outcomes. But definitely with Greenwich University, we are starting to see a difference.
And I think, just before I hand over to the question, contact us through LinkedIn, email us your thoughts on what you would like to see in your graduates, because one of the benefits we've got is, at the moment we're dealing with 8 universities. There's another 22.
No, 80.
No, how many?
80.
80. Okay, in total. So we're only at 10% of the universities. As part of this, as it grows, one of the things we're doing is we're going to influence the courses and the design of the courses. And I think we've done this for a number of years, working with and mentoring a number of students with those soft skills. They just don't, it's not taught, they're not understand. But, as part of going into having a decent CV, what are your prioritization skills, your communication skills, your planning skills, all of those kind of things, your communication, your presentation skills. They're just not ready, and the businesses have to put them into it. Universities should have people who are business ready and business savvy. And what's your phrase, Jess? Accelerating
Academia to industry.
Accelerating academia to industry. That's what this is about. So send us your request and we'll feed it through and try and change. Question there?
Hi,
and we've got 5 minutes, so there's another one after that, I think.
Okay, I have 2 questions, but one of them's quick. The first one, I'm Kelsey. I'm a data scientist or an aspiring data scientist. As I go through the interview process, I get a lot of feedback about my communication skills and my technical skills, but ultimately I'm passed on because I don't have the experience. I'm one of those candidates coming from academia, transitioning to data science. So what is your advice for candidates like me? And then my second question was, do I win a prize for knowing all the female photos that you had on there?
We could see it, but I guess you guys couldn't. It's the only person in the room who actually knew all 3 answers.
So
yeah.
Waiting for that prize.
Guys.
I just want to, is this on? Can you hear me? I never know when it's on. It's a really, really good question, and you're definitely not alone. Nick will probably be able to answer this question maybe a little bit better. I'm coming from a different angle here, but there are the students coming through the Nurture program that are they're still within in their course, so they haven't passed yet. You're on the other side of the fence, but you didn't get an opportunity to go on customer site as part of a program like this. So had you have done so, if you think about it, you would have gone for interview now with some live commercial experience, also having been on workshops which the Nurture Academy can offer you as a student. So this is a great conversation to have, because luckily we're talking to the businesses as well, and this is where I think we need some commitment coming back from people like yourself who have passed but not actually got employment yet. There are opportunities for people like you to come and give your time and work on a live data set for 2 or 3 months and get some real experience with expenses paid by a customer, not salary paid, not employed, but it will give you the opportunity to do that. So I don't think this program is just offering the people that come through the program itself. It's also going to be targeted, or there are opportunities for people in your position where you've already gone, you've passed, you're struggling to get employment. We have a customer base now that's saying, we want to give back, we can help. Would someone be committed enough to come and do a day a week with us, or work on a data set for a project and give us some insight for free, that then you've got live experience, and your chances of opportunity and being employed go from here to here, just because you've got that. Because that's what the industry is screaming out for.
Can I just,
Nick, first. Lucy.
yeah, is that okay? So just literally in answer to that, just before I came here for this meeting, I met up with a guy who's setting up his own fintech, and he's asked me, can I find him someone who's willing to go and help him start up his business? So I'm gonna get your details, okay? Because and that's what I do, is I work with people and I help people, and I try and get the right people in the right places. That's why I'm the human Tinder for data science. All right.
I think as well, just
So as we finish, come up on stage. We'll take your details and we'll try and see what we can do to help. Last question, I think, over there. Go behind. Sorry. First. Go behind first. And
Cheers. Hello. Yeah, sort of similar question. I feel like I have a lot of soft skills. First, my name's Scott, aspiring data scientist. I just got back from 6 months travelling. That's why I look like Robinson Crusoe. Came back last night. Now, I feel like I have a lot of the soft skills. One thing I don't have, the technical skills. I'm currently trying to learn Python by myself, but I wonder what you recommend for someone in my sort of position. I can't afford to do an MSc, can't afford to go on a data camp or anything like that.
I think I'm going to give that one to Nick.
So, obviously in this industry there are a lot of aspiring data scientists, people that are self-learned. They ask the technical skills you can learn yourself. There's enough stuff online to kind of watch tutorials and get it. But the one kind of key message I have to a lot of the people I work with is actually there's loads of data out there. There's loads of open data. There's loads of things you can create your own data from. Find something that's interesting you and produce something from it. I saw a really good visualization, Tableau visualization, not to plug them, not necessarily a favourite, but a really good visualization of someone that looked at appearances of characters and their family throughout the time that they're in on each season at Game of Thrones. And it was a great visualization. It's just something that they were interested in. They thought, okay, I can look at how many times a character goes in each episode. There's data and information available. Let me try and hone my skills and let me work on something that's actually achievable. I've done myself internally, I've taught myself some bit of Python, bit of SQL, bit of Power BI, to produce our own internal KPI reports. Now I was trying to learn Python before, but what I actually found useful was having a target, a business problem that I could solve. It was, can I allow our business to see our KPIs and see our information live? Can I produce that? How would I go about doing that? Let me speak to my industry. Let me speak to people that I know. The conversations I'm having data scientists. I'm having this problem with capturing this data from this API. How do I go about doing that? Our partners at Synergia, I said to them on consultancy side, I'm really struggling with an SQL problem. It keeps coming up with an error. Like I've Googled online, I can't find the answer. What do I do? So just ask the community. Again, we're an open source community. We're actually that's where we're at from then. So just find something that interests you and go with it and produce something that you can then take to interviews.
Yeah. I'm being told, I'm sorry, with time out, so you can't have you can come and ask the question personally. Thank you very much, everybody, for spending the time here today. I hope it was interesting. We've got Eden Smith stand in the sort of bottom left. Come and speak to the team, and good luck. Thank you.